Hi everybody, welcome to SimplyScuba and welcome to the dive brief. In today's video, again I was thinking about cold water diving, so I was thinking about those little accessories and things that can really sort of help you to keep yourself warm on those colder dives. If you're new to cold water diving, you're trying to expand your diving season, then a lot of people tend to think, or they forget to think about what's important in between dives. They focus a lot on what actually happens in the water, which is great, you obviously need to consider that, but they often don't think about you actually spend a lot of time in between dives on the surface, and if you're getting cold at that point, that's when you're still decompressing. So actually it is quite important to keep yourself nice and warm. So I was thinking about some of those little accessories and I've broken them down in today's dive brief. First up, we're looking at keeping your head warm in the water. So first of all, we're looking at hoods, obviously. The head loses a lot of heat when you're underwater, so wearing a hood makes a world of difference. First of all, we're looking at the Bare 7mm Ultrawarmth. So this has very unique infrared technology in the internal lining of the hood. It basically reflects heat back towards your head. So as it radiates outwards, the internal lining of the hood actually bounces it back towards you. So even though it's a 7mm hood, which is traditionally that kind of thick for colder waters, it's actually a little bit warmer still because it doesn't have a traditional lining. But if you do want a fairly traditional hood, then look no further than the Fourth Element 7mm Coldwater hood. It's even named the Coldwater. It has a bib as well. So the bib is designed for either use with a wetsuit, so you can tuck it in underneath, which really slows down the water ingress. But for colder waters, you're probably going to be wearing a dry suit. But a lot of dry suits nowadays, they have that warm neck technology, that second layer of neoprene that goes over your dry suit neck seal. You tuck that bib in underneath that, and again, it's slowing the water getting into your hood. Or if you're going for really long dives or particularly cold dives, then look at the Santi 11. The Santi 11 is an extremely thick neoprene hood, very nice soft material, but on the inside, instead of a traditional lining, the whole thing is just glide skin, that smooth skin material, which is normally just around your face, but because it's sealing against pretty much anything that it's touching, it really slows that water ingress down, and with that much thicker hood as well, it's just creating that much more insulation to keep your head nice and warm. Now we're looking at keeping your hands warm. Your hands are essential. You've got to keep these warm because you're going to lose dexterity pretty quickly as soon as you start to get cold. So 5mm is the good kind of all-rounder. You can go for thicker 7mm, but then you lose dexterity because you have that thicker material. So it kind of depends on sort of what you prefer. The three sets of gloves that I quite like at the moment, the Fourth Element 5mm gloves. So they've redesigned them for 2021. They have a new Hydrolock system, which is basically a glove ring system just around the cuff. So it seals against your skin and really slows that water ingress. But they've also improved a few other things like the Octo print on the inside of the palm, gives you plenty of grip. The overall ergonomics just make them very, very comfortable. Similar to the hood in the previous one, the Bare Ultrawarmth 5mm gloves, they still have that Omni Red, that infrared technology on the inside lining, which again, as heat is radiating out of your hands, it bounces it back in. So again, they're 5mm gloves, but they act a little bit warmer than a 5mm glove because they have that sort of more intrinsic internal lining, keeping your hands nice and warm. But again, if you're dry suit diving, then dry gloves is my usual route to sort of recommend. I'm looking at the Kubi dry glove ring system. So the ring system can connect to most silicone cuff seals or latex cuff seals. If it's silicone, you've got to make sure that it has a round ring system or that it's actually fitted onto your dry suit. If you're fitting it afterwards as an aftermarket thing, if you've just got latex cuff seals on your dry suit, then you can fit the all-in-one Kubi set. You get two different parts. You have one part that fits onto your dry suit cuff, a metal ring, then a second metal ring that attaches onto an actual dry glove that you basically wear a pair of woody gloves underneath. That acts as your undersuit for your hand, basically. Put the dry glove over the top and it keeps your hands completely dry. By keeping it dry, air is a much better insulator than water, so they're warmer, but you have much, much thinner. They're only about, I think it's 1.6 millimeters thick, which It's much thinner than 5mm thick, so you still have perfect dexterity for complicated work in the water, but you're just as warm. For colder waters, you should really be diving in a dry suit. They're much more efficient, but with a lot of them, especially membrane dry suits, it's what you wear underneath that counts. The first layer that a lot of scuba divers, especially when they're first starting out in dry suit diving, overlook is a base layer. They typically just get an undersuit, they wear the undersuit, and that's it underneath it, apart from like underwear. But a base layer makes a world of difference, and it's a very thin layer of material. In this case, I'm looking at the Fourth Element J2 base layer. This is the base layer that I wear. Very, very thin, but it wicks moisture away from your skin incredibly quickly. And because it's a very, very thin membrane, it's not adding too much bulk or buoyancy to your system. But because it's keeping you dry, it's in turn keeping you warmer. So a base layer goes a long, long way to keeping you warmer and just boosting the performance of your existing undersuit. For an actual undersuit, I'm looking at the Bare SB system. You either get this in a 2-part system or in a full one-piece suit. Whichever one you go down is your preference, but this one is that good sort of all-rounder. It's great for colder waters, and in its sort of thickness to warmth ratio, it's incredibly warm, but nice flexibility, very premium materials as well, just a nice general undersuit to wear. But if you're diving in extremely cold temperatures or spending a lot of time in the water and you worry about exposure, then something like the Santi BZ400X heated undersuit is definitely the way to go. The undersuit itself is a dry suit undersuit, so you can just take it diving, but if you really want to step it up, it actually has heating coils running throughout the material on the inside that you can connect to an external battery on your hip, and then it's electrically powered. You can even connect gloves that have individual heating elements running down each fingers. It's an incredible system. So for longer, extremely cold dives where your own body heat isn't quite enough, you need something else, something like the Santi BZ400 Extreme is very good to look at. And then the extras for after the dive. Too many divers, they think about all of that stuff that we just spoken about, but then in between, they just wear their normal day-to-day clothing. But actually it's very essential to actually boost your warmth between dives, because if you cool yourself down and your body starts to slow down, then it's not decompressing at the correct rate. Your dive computer doesn't know that, so it's not going to be as conservative as it should be. So it's very important to keep yourself nice and warm in between dives, but don't accelerate it too quickly. If you just put your hands on a radiator, that can accelerate the decompression in that one spot too quickly. So you need to let your body just keep itself nice and warm at a normal rate. So we're looking at things like the Fourth Element Storm Poncho, something to wear over yourself. As soon as you get out of the water, you throw it on. On the inside, it's like a microfiber towel. On the outside, it's a hydrophobic layer. So you're keeping yourself covered, protected from the wind and the elements, especially if you're a wetsuit diver. You throw this on, you can actually get changed underneath it. It's nice, big and bellowy, so you have plenty of space underneath it. You can still do what you need to. You can break your kit down, you can put on a new cylinder while still wearing it, but it's protecting you from all of the elements. Your other bits and bobs need protecting from the elements, things like your wallet, your car keys, things like that. So Fourth Element 20-litre dry bag is a really nice extra to put all of your essentials inside of it, from your logbook, your phone, your wallet, all that kind of stuff goes in a dry suit, and then that goes into my bigger kit bag, because if you open up that kit bag and a wave splashes over, or the heavens open and it starts to rain down on everything, then all of your nice expensive things are just sodden and wet. Everything ends up getting wet. But if you keep it in a simple roll top dry bag, you can organize things. We have one from SimplyScuba. We have like a 2-litre dry bag. We also have a heavy duty 5-litre one as well. So you can start to have lots of little dry bags and organize your bits and bobs. Or you can just get one big liner, the 20-litre from Fourth Element, put that in the back of your backpack or something, and that immediately makes it waterproof. And finally, for colder waters, I've mentioned gloves and reducing dexterity. If you're wearing 5mm gloves or even 7mm gloves, your dexterity immediately goes. So trying to quick disconnect hoses can be tricky. So something like the Scuba EZ fitting is an easy, quick disconnect fitting. You can fit it to pretty much any regulator hose and turn it into a BCD or a dry suit hose. But the collar, the bit that you have to retract, is a little bit bigger. It has this large flange section around it. So even if you're wearing thick 7mm gloves, it's still easy to disconnect because you don't have that stupid little collar. You have a big collar that you have to disconnect just to make your life a little bit easier. But there's plenty of gear over on our website, SimplyScuba.com. The links to all of these will be down in the description below, so you can check them out and buy them from us. Thank you for watching, everybody, and of course, safe diving.